Hi, this is Mr. Ward, and this is Algebra Do Now 33.1. I'm going to do a quick video key for this. So what is the square root of 81? Well, we're looking for half of the factors of 81, and when we split 81 into two equal factors, we get 9 times 9. So this is splitting things in a timesy sort of way instead of an adding sort of way. So the square root of 81 is 9, but it is also -9. Square roots come in positive and negative pairs because 9 times 9 is 81, but so is -9 times -9. We're going to take a look at the square root of 8. If we broke it into its factors, could we find any perfect squares? Well, if you broke it all the way into its factors, you'd get 2 times 2 times 2. But since you've got a pair of factors there, that represents a perfect square. So 4 times 2, and so 4 is a perfect square. Furthermore, what that means is if you got the square root of 8, that would equal the square root of 2 times 4. And you can get the square root of 4. So that's going to be, you can pull that out of the square root, and it'll be 2 square root of what's left, which is 2. 2 gets left in the square root jail. However, there is a plus version of this and a minus version. I'm going to write it like this, and -2 square root of 2. If you get your hand, if you want, you can write it in a compressed way. You can say plus/minus. That means plus or minus. And there's a symbol you will find that goes like this, plus or minus. That is a symbol that is just not available to me with my typing resources here, but that means plus or minus. It means two different numbers. So we'd say 2 square root of 2. Okay, and the way that would be written nicer would be 2 square root of 2 plus or minus. Now, unfortunately, I don't have that kind of typing tool. So let's take a look at 27. Can we break 27 into any perfect squares? Well, 3 times 9 equals 27, and 9 is a perfect square. So if we're getting the square root of 27, that would equal the square root of 3 times 9, which would be, we can pull out that 9. When we pull it out, we're getting the square root of it. So the square root of 9 is 3. And then we're still left with 3 times the square root of 3 in square root jail. So that's, of course, going to be a plus and minus 3 square root of 3. And once again, we could write that as plus or minus 3 root 3. Okay, so number 4, I'm asking you, consider the square root of 48. Which of these would be an equivalent version of the square root of 48? And what I'm really after is the most simplified version. So you could use the tools that we just used. So 48, okay, equals 3 times 4 times 4. Or we could say 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 3 times 16. Okay, so 16 is the biggest perfect square you can get in there. So we could get the square root of 48 would be the square root of 3 times the square root of 16. I'm going to go over here. So that would be the square root of 3, and we'd have the square root of 16 outside, which would be 4. Okay, but it's a plus and minus version. And so we're going to choose 4 square root of 3 positive and -4 square root of 3. And that will be your answer. And that's where I'll stop. Hopefully that was helpful.